Please tell us about the idea behind the Russia Pavilion.
Well, World Expo is, of course, a very unusual situation because if in normal town you have some buildings are speaking with each other, every pavilion somehow is an object for himself. And to create the object what is very unusual, it is of course not very easy, not very simple, because every country tries to do its best. And we have thought about very long what kind of image of Russia could be very friendly, but in the same time very unusual. So somehow, in best sense, unacceptable. In this case, I have thought about my very personal experience with Russian culture. It is very colorful cultural tradition and goes from very old time, from old Russian architecture, but of course on the very straight way to avant-garde. And Russian avant-garde is same as old Russian architecture, like Basilius Cathedral, for example, in Moscow on the Red Square. It is something what is very colorful and goes from the lines and with the lines. If you know the cupolas of Basilius Cathedral with this diagonal, very colorful lines are going around, it is very important image of Russian culture. And if you go over them to Lentulov, to Malevich, to Chernihiv, you see these colorful lines are going in the form. And it is exactly what I wanted to do, we wanted to do, to make from the lines very unusual form. Not symmetrical, not the same to every side. You go from the entrance of Mobility District, you see one pavilion. If you are from the square, from the main square where the entrance and the open terrace are going to, you see quite other picture from the pavilion. If you are from the conference where yesterday we had this conference about Russian culture, you see the third picture of the pavilion. It is like a Russian church, like a Russian landscape. From every side you have a different image. It is very changeable but very friendly, and of course very colorful, with a lot of different lines. Like we have a lot of different nationalities, a lot of different religions, a lot of different cultural trends. Any trends you get in this country, any chances you can get in this country. It's like a big planet where you go around. You are it's like very magnetic planet, very opens to everybody, but also encloses very important world for itself, what should be discovered, I think. Like Simpadeka made very nice object here, very nice installation about creative mind. And like all this expo, connecting the minds, creating the future. So with connecting lines, you create the form of the future. That's Russian Pavilion.
Did you manage to visit any other pavilion, and what are the brightest impressions you had?
Well, the brightest impression for me personally is the expo itself. I mean, I'm coming just the day before yesterday from very European town, from Paris, and it is very strong. It is somehow very uniform, and just you come in very colorful world. In the difficult time we live, this very bright, very colorful world is something very friendly, because you like them. You like already in the airport a lot of light, a lot of LED projections, and then you come in the expo and you see like a big theater from different very nice actors, and these actors are very different pavilions. Of course, the pavilion of the United Arab Emirates is of course great work, both of them. Especially, of course, I loved this work by Santiago Calatrava, and on the other side, of course, UK pavilion, but also Finnish pavilion with this very sensitive, sustainable idea. I didn't see all of them because I had yesterday a lot to do with our pavilion, with representation of our pavilion. But what I have seen also, the main hemisphere, especially by the evening, by night light, especially I think the evening atmosphere. It is something very like a holiday, like a big show with very nice mood. That's what we need all, because the time before was not so easy. And I think this expo comes in the right time, and many pavilions and all atmosphere of town planning of expo speaks about.
Um, how, in your opinion, the Expo 2020 Dubai, especially in the times that it is, will positively affect Russia and its relationship with UAE and other countries?
I think that our pavilion expresses so, I would say, so good, so creative image is in any case very good, because even yesterday I have met a lot of people, a lot of very different people from different branches, and all of them really 100%. I've never expected such a thing about the work I took part in. Spoken about very, very good image of pavilion, very interesting architecture, but also very interesting inside installation by Simpatica. All them are somehow the feeling that we are together once more after the time we were really very divided. I mean, I was 1 year without Russia, spoken only online, and now we are together here, and we come, all of us can come very easy in this house of Russia, in this dome of Russia, cathedral, where you can be inside, like in big matryoshka with small pantheon behind and big exhibition pantheon upstairs. And I think the people are coming together. That is, how can we live in the future together? That's a question going very high by this expo, and I think Russian Pavilion answers this question very good. And I think it will help, because we have to be together once more after we were divided so long time.
Just after 2 weeks of Expo, Russia Pavilion has already been called one of the most popular and the most Instagrammable. Did you expect that effect, and how do you feel about it?
I feel about it very well, because even before Expo, maybe already some years, I see how is the reaction about my objects, just normal objects, exactly in Instagram, because the opinion of the people about architecture moves. If in the former time you go, you travel, and maybe you describe them, you hear the criticizing of something, and you are waiting that somebody explains his mind or her opinion. Nowadays, it is a collective opinion of many people are coming together by some event or in one town and photograph and speak very, very often about what have seen. And that is, I think, very, very important, that the picture of the architecture in the eyes of the people became to be very public. Any building is very public now, because the people are going around, make photos, be photographs in it. Everybody is now photograph, and everybody is now blogger and professional photograph. But I appreciate very much that this building would be so appreciating by the people, by the big community of people. And of course, that I can be only about this very, very glad, because I think that is a main opinion about the building if the people are appreciating them. Without to wait for some very sophisticated opinion, maybe you should make it not so colorful, or maybe more colorful, or maybe one line more. It is very, very important. I respect any opinion, but how the people are reacting, that's the most important thing.
Where do you search for your inspiration?
In the normal life, everywhere, because you see in the normal life, in a minute, something you can use for your work. And I photograph also a lot. I make a lot of sketches. Also, any day I make maybe tens or maybe even more as tens of sketches of different things. I send immediately to my colleagues and speak with them about one or other possibility. Also, we are now much more speedy, like our pavilion with a lot of lines are going very speedy around. We are also more speedy. We see some thing, and we speak about, we think about, we send them to the people on the other part of the world. And that is the inspiration, our world, what you see every day on every detail. For not a lot of time, I have read a very important book by very, very important artist, Gerhard Richter, a very important world and German artist, and he's spoken about how the idea would come and get them the interpretation. And he told, from my point of view, very important things, that as he draws, he doesn't know exactly what it comes. But after it was coming, you have a lot of interpretations why it is so coming out. And I think it is very, very deep idea, because nowadays many of people and journalists try to say the concept is the first and the picture or architecture is the second. But in fact, I think if you try with line, if you try with your intuition to find some form and to find some creation after that, if it is successful, you can look at it and say, okay, it has very many interpretations, but the first part, the first line was a line what you make with your intuition, with your like a stomach, not even with your hand, but not with the head, because not with the mind. Of course, all of our parts are from the mind somehow, or from the soul. But the first line you make, you search without to know what happens after. And that is Yakov Chernigov told about exprematic. Exprematic is moving where you try to find with lines a new form. Like a child. The child begins to learn to draw and draw some abstract form, but if you see on it, you can find a lot of ideas. And this pavilion, it's like a drone from the line, how the child would begin to work, somehow not very easy line, not very symmetrical, but with a lot of different forms are going in each other, and suddenly you become a lot of interpretations what happened. That's what we see now.